Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnson and welcome to The Interesting Times, a show that looks and laughs at UK politics. It was a very special day for one lucky lad who's waited a long time for this, and frankly, haven't we all?
Let's have a little bit of imagery of Sir Keir Starmer leaving 10 Downing Street to make that short journey across to the Palace of Westminster. PMQs, his first as PM.
So, let's get the dull stuff out the way first.
This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others discussing how this government will bring about the change the country has decisively voted for. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings today.
No matter how tempting, don't talk down to the Tories. Don't make them feel small and effectively rub their noses in it. Okay? Well, maybe just a little bit.
We're not going to listen to the party opposite. They put their case to the electorate. The electorate rejected them profoundly. And my advice would be, having sat at that dispatch box for 4.5 long years, is when you get rejected that profoundly by the electorate, it's best not to go back to the electorate and tell them that they were wrong. It's best to reflect and change your approach and change your party.
And then on to what this shiny new government are doing. And it's probably going to be no surprise that it's going to be the equivalent of taking your car to the garage to be told, dear oh dear, what cowboys did all this, eh? Well, the new Chancellor certainly wasn't impressed with the last lot.
Well, one thing is I hope to be in post for a bit longer than some of my predecessors.
Yeah, stick to the day job, please.
We must talk about the last 14 years. I warned that whoever won the general election would inherit the worst set of economic circumstances since the Second World War.
And when you consider that at any point after the Second World War includes that point just after the Second World War, that's pretty bad. The Tories took everything, even the piss.
And I heard what the Shadow Chancellor said from the dispatch box now and on the television yesterday, to claim that I should be grateful for what he has left us. Unbelievable. Because the Right Honourable Gentleman knows the truth, and he's now trying to rewrite history.
That's one empty front bench from the Tories too, just Laura Trott and, that guy. Although defending the Tories' economic record has got to be one hard sell. Then Health Secretary Wes Streeting let rip over that most delicate but loved of British institutions, the NHS.
The condition of the whole NHS estate is poor. In fact, backlog maintenance, with the direct cost of bringing the estate into compliance with mandatory fire safety requirements and statutory safety legislation, currently stands at 11.6 billion. That is the legacy of the last Conservative government.
Which is flatlining thanks to the Sinister Six, who include Matt Hancock, probably most famous to the general public as being an unreal man on reality shows.
Because I'm a normal person now.
Then it was the turn of the new Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson.
I am immensely proud of our world-leading universities, but their future has been left in darkness for too long. This must and will change. No more talking down our country's strongest exports. Under this government, universities valued as a public good, not treated as a political battleground.
Battleground is right. Whatever they're paying the teachers and lecturers, it's not enough when you consider that they've been dealing with the likes of Gillian Keegan, James Cleverly and the demon teacher himself, Gavin Williamson. The new Lord Chancellor, Shabana Mahmood, had the unenviable job of having to deal with the most immediate problem facing the new government. Prisons so full that there isn't enough room to put in the outgoing Tory government.
The Shadow Minister knows full well that they have left no other option on the table but that which we are taking today, and anyone with any access to a newspaper can tell that until about 3 weeks ago this was their own plan. So Madam Deputy Speaker, this I'm afraid to say is the modern day Tory party, opportunistic, cynical and frankly unfit to govern.
Some 5,000 prisoners who will have served over 40% of their time will be let out before 50% of their time. The Financial Times stated that non-violent criminals would be released under this scheme, while the Tory graph went with violent criminals will be released early to release overcrowding.
When I say that this government will be different than the last, I mean it. We have already been far more transparent than the previous government.
The new Lord Chancellor very much all over her brief there, much to the chagrin of Shadow Policing Minister Matt Vickers. And yeah, that guy again. Still not looking happy. That's actually MP for Havant and Shadow Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Alan Mack, who, fun fact, retained his seat in the last general election by 92 votes. Is that why he's always there? Is he thinking that if he stays there for 4 weeks or more, he can claim squatter rights in case the result goes to another recount and he loses? Labour didn't change everything though. The two-child cap brought in by the Tories has remained in place. And if you'll remember, Labour's overriding message was, well, that they're not the Tories. In fact, this was the front cover of their manifesto. The abolition of the two-child cap was put forward by what's left of the SNP on Monday. It passed, easily, but not without a bit of a bump. 7 Labour MPs voted with the SNP and against the government. Nothing to really get excited about, right, Sir Keir?
7 Labour MPs who were suspended from the party last night, the whip's been taken away from them for 6 months by Sir Keir Starmer for voting against the government to call for the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap.
Suspended? Is that really necessary?
You know, Keir Starmer has got us into government with a big majority. He was completely clear before the election that he wasn't going to be able to do the two-child benefit policy. But if you sign up to a party, then stick with your word. They're not the victims here.
No, they aren't the victims. But anyone with more than 2 children is, though. Suspending MPs for voting for something you yourself want to get rid of seems a little bit reckless. And before people say it, yes, it's troublesome with the financial constraints. Well, that's fair. We don't have money to splash out on niceties or luxuries, or indeed anyone with more than 2 children.
Good morning. Well, we know that it supports the official duties of the royal family. Buckingham Palace's accounts were meant to be published earlier, but there was a month-long delay due to the general election. Let's just take a look at some of those numbers in a bit more detail. The Crown Estate profits have soared to more than £1 billion.
And he's now restricting himself to only paying for 1 child. Although that's going to be bad news for Will and Kate's offspring. Sorry, Louis, but it's a paper round for you.
And the royal household will use some of the money on 2 helicopters, converting the King's state Bentleys to use biofuel and solar panels at Windsor Castle.
That's fair. What sort of a world are we living in where a man can't get the British public to pay for a new helicopter? Or 2. And that's it. No time to talk about the Tories having another leadership election, which will probably conclude in November with the party conference. So, no shortage of material for the next few months. Tom Tugendhat has thrown his Tugendhat into the ring.
I'm standing to lead the Conservative Party back to government. I have always fought for Conservative values. And that's why I'm standing to unite the party, to regain your trust and to win back our country. The next Conservative government will be straight with the British people. We will say what we mean and we will do what we say. We will deliver for you.
That's a bleak background. Is he trying to garner support for running to be leader of the Conservative Party or a funeral care package? Tom's previous decisions, though, have been called into question.
You did back Liz Truss. Now, we know that that went disastrously wrong and people's mortgages went sky high. Backed Liz Truss's plan for the economy. Was that one of your major mistakes?
Look, I stood against every other leadership contender at the last time, and then I was left with a choice of 2, as you know.
So that's 2 options then. Which means if one of those options is Liz Truss, then you pick the other option. Irrespective, and I can't stress this enough, of whatever the other option is. If it's a psychotic werewolf, then you back them and make a note not to book any. And Liz then reciprocated his bad judgment by making him Chief Secretary to the Treasury. And he's still showing bad judgment.
The first flight had been due to take off yesterday. It was due to take off yesterday on the 24th of July, but the government chose to cancel it. The deterrent effect which that flight would have had would have led to a cessation of channel crossings, as all the precedents in Australia and elsewhere, have demonstrated.
See, Labour, see what you've done? The flights were all ready to go. I mean, yes, none have actually taken off in 4 years, and yes, we spent £700 million on it, but we were ready to shove 70,000 people on a single flight, and we would have done it too if it wasn't for you pesky electorate. No time to talk about what everyone's been talking about. The horrifying footage of a police officer assaulting a subdued British Pakistani man. If you haven't seen it, here it is. Be warned though, it is violent and disturbing. The reactions in the main part have been shock, disgust, etc., as you'd expect.
The video footage of a Greater Manchester police officer stamping on and kicking a man in Manchester Airport is truly shocking and disturbing.
Can I thank my honourable friend for that very important question today? And as I said, clearly the footage is incredibly disturbing.
But
we see a 3-4 second clip. I don't know what went on beforehand. I don't know what went on afterwards.
Yeah, context. That's important when sticking your size 10s into the head of a person incapacitated on the ground. So, while some were shocked, others, the usual suspects, took a more relaxed, even celebratory tone.
And if you want choir boys to look after our airports, you seem to have forgotten what 9/11 was like.
Two mobs are once again driving the agenda and damning the police into a pathetic retreat.
The message I'm getting loud and clear from my constituents is that they are fed up with seeing police dancing around rainbows and being nice to people and running off from rioters. They want the police to do their job. And I think these police yesterday should be commended. They should, in fact, I'd give them a medal.
Whether or not there is an issue with the left on this, which is that, you know, when they see something that's got the whiff of Islamophobia about it, they're all over it. Do they care more about, you know, Islamophobia than they do about our armed forces?
Well, they have quite rightly concluded that safety is the better option. And they don't know whether these people have got grenades under their bodies.
Yes, these police officers should be applauded and lavished with medals for kicking the grenade, which was clearly lodged inside that bloke's head. Thank God they've got that level of professional training. It was left to me, and I thought there might be a grenade on the individual on the floor, I'd be telling everyone to get back and to move out of the area. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a rainbow dancing lefty that thinks people being nice is a good thing. No time to talk about a big week in Parliament for the little party with the tiny brains, as Reform candidates got down to the rather vague business of taking their country back. Farage had his maiden speech. It was good to see Farage back from the US, where he was ignored by the American president, to come to the UK to be ignored in Parliament. Richard Tice had his maiden speech, and Rupert Lowe even got a question in. There was, though, one not-so-subtle difference between Farage and Tice when it came to telling doorstep anecdotes. See if you can spot it. Spoiler alert, yeah, you can.
During the election campaign, I went to numerous houses, and when someone answered, there was one where, for example, 7 people in a house of 2 bedrooms. Bulgarian family, only one member spoke any English at all. And they said, we're here to claim benefits, and your health benefits and housing benefits. We prefer it in Bulgaria, but we want to take your benefits and then send the money home. This, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is what is going on up and down the country, and it is completely unacceptable.
Those communities have little faith or trust or belief that government can make their lives better. Indeed, what I found knocking on doors were people saying, we want to work, we want to get on, we want to make money. But as soon as we work for 16 hours a week or more, our benefits get taken away. We're better off staying on benefits. And I have to say, I feel immensely sorry for people who the benefit system, which is designed to help them, is actually keeping them trapped.
Lee Anderson, very much the first of the Fascist Five, was very excited for the day.
Good morning, so look at this view. There you go. If you was in that place over there and you got the chance to ask a question, what would it be?
Yeah, thanks Lee. I would ask, no matter how much you seem to spend on suits, how come you always end up looking like a divorced regional sales manager who's been forced to live in his garage? But although Lee, no sense nonsense, Anderson has been with 3 separate parties and held some fairly lofty positions, including deputy chairman of the Conservative Party, he still struggles with the political basics. Although Basic Lee should be his new nickname.
But this, for me, seems a little bit unfair. We have a political party represented in this House who got over 4 million votes at the last election, and we will have no representation whatsoever on the committees, yet we've got a party that got 3.5 million votes that will have plenty of representation on the committees. Does the leader think that's fair?
Yeah. Well, as he knows, he has 4 members of this House, and the House is considered in terms of its members, not in terms of the popular vote.
Tell me about it. In July 2016, over 60 million people voted to remain a part of the EU, and they were completely ignored. But, you know, that's democracy for you. Still, Basic Lee and his band of bigots will be happy to know that yesterday saw a large section of their fan base take part in a demonstration of unity in Trafalgar Square. I mean, unity if you look like this, of course. The march was condemned as being for white supremacists, which is clearly wrong. I mean, white, sure, but supremacists? Not so much. Looking forward to Lee Anderson giving those officers a medal. I mean, some of those rioters could have had grenades under their shirts, although by the looks of some of them, they've already gone off. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you have enjoyed these videos, then please like, subscribe, share and hit all the notifications bell, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.